Hey VC, it's me Rodger back with more records. Yeah, there's some threads going around, and hey, congratulations to Jonas on your 1,000 subscribers. I would have thought you would have thousands of subscribers by now. The topic is it's a little enervating for me. It's like, oh, rare records. Anyway. Jolly good to see lots of people coming out of the woodwork who we haven't seen in a while, and that's really been awesome. And so cheers and condolences to Fred. Sorry to hear about your wife. That would be just absolutely devastating. I don't think he watches me, but whatever. And I get some sense that there's some other drama going on in the VC. I don't know. I don't really hang out on Facebook anymore, and I don't really. It's disappointing to hear that people are getting on each other or whatever, but hey, sign of the times, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Go ahead and hit that dislike, because every damn video someone's got to dislike it, which, hey, I'm doing something right, I guess. I don't know. But hey, I got records, enough waffling, rambling. Let's start with this. Mary Halverson's Code Girl on Firehouse 12. The CD came out some time ago. The vinyl came out, I don't know, a few weeks ago. It's an interesting. The cover is really cool. You can't really see, but it's like embossed with her name and the number 5, and this is all made up of the number 5. I'm not sure what the significance of that is. Anyway, so it's Mary Halverson, great Mary Halverson on guitar, with Amirtha Kedambi on voice, Ambrose Akinmusier on trumpet. I'm not familiar with these people at all. Michael Formanek on bass, who I am familiar with, and Thomas Fujiwara on drums. That's is that Thumbscrew? Anyway, so familiar rhythm section, and then voice and trumpet, and Mary's guitar, and this record's getting a lot of attention. In fact, she's on the cover of Downbeat this month, and that's awesome. Good for her. I think she's great. I have to wonder though, does making the cover of Downbeat move the needle at all in terms of record sales? There's only 500 of these, and as far as I can tell, there's still plenty on Bandcamp. So, but anyway, there's a lot of attention being paid to, like, oh, it's her first record with vocals. It's her first record with vocals, and vocals, and she wrote these songs, and no. She's had vocals on many of her records, and one of the first bands she was in when she moved to New York was called People, and they even put out a record a couple years ago. It took a while to get it put out, but it has vocals and horn arrangements, and then she made a number of records. Now they're CDs. All of these things are CDs, but with Jessica Bavone, where they both sang in harmony and wrote songs. And now what's interesting here is that she's hired a singer to sing her these very personal songs, and I think I understand the reason for that is because Mary Halverson is playing all this guitar stuff, and then to try to sing these songs would have been impossible. It's not like she's just comping while there's, it's very, very rich, complex music, and musically this is really, really great, really strong, really. But I don't love the vocals. Not that I don't like vocals and I don't like the songs. It's that I would rather hear Mary sing these very personal songs. And this woman has a very nice voice, but it's a singery voice, whereas Mary Halverson has a very sort of plaintive, plain, but to me very expressive voice. Whereas this is expressive in the way that, well, I've been trained to be. So this is expressivity as I've been trained to be expressive. So it's like all the vibrato and the melismatic stuff, and it just, I don't know. It's the way it's sung is distracting for me, and I'll just be honest, But musically, there's some great stuff on here, and about a third of it's instrumental. So anyway, I really think Mary Halverson's an important figure, and I'm really excited for her to get the attention that she deserves, and I love that she puts out stuff and puts it out on vinyl, and so check it out. It's on Bandcamp. Cheers, everybody. Yes, Anchor Steam. Great beer. Hey, all right, so another new record. This is another sort of record store day leftover that I decided to pick up. It was not expensive. Maria Monti, Il Bestiario. The Bestiario, the zoo, the Bestiario. The little hype sticker which I took off. It's got Steve Lacy on saxophone, Alvin Curran on synthesizer, Tony Ackerman on guitar. So what is this? And she's a singer, and so it's like these art songs, not quite classical music, but not quite like jazz really at all. But you know, there's Steve Lacy and lots of noodling around on the synthesizer and stuff. But speaking of like plaintive voices, she has a very like plain, not singery voice, and this is really quite affecting. It has a little booklet with the words and stuff. I didn't really investigate that much, but this is excellent, and it's like $15. It's on Unseen World. Originally came out in Italy in 1974 or something like that. Il Bestiario by Maria Monti. A really nice record store day reissue that did not cost an arm and a leg, and you should pick it up if that sounds interesting to you. And this record store day thing I found in Dr. Rhythm Channel. John Kiefer showed this and talked about it in their last little get together, and I was like, oh wow, if I see that I need to grab it, and I saw it, and so I grabbed it. And it is the soundtrack, The Friends of Eddie Coyle, music from the motion picture by Dave Grusin, originally from 1973, and this is reissue on We Want Sounds. European. It's a gatefold. Nice, sounds excellent. Has new liner notes by David Toop, which is really interesting. And so what is this? This is a classic, like 73 crime drama soundtrack, with funky keyboards and soaring strings and stabbing bass and brass and killer little grooves, and very much like kind of a library music vibe, a bunch of cues. Yeah, this is great. Sounds great. Really, I had no idea that Dave Grusin had ever done such a thing. Sort of like Bob James. Of course, Bob James made a record on ESP, which sounds nothing like what he would go on to do. Anyway, thank you, Dr. Rhythm Channel, for that recommendation. It's excellent. Excellent. Highly recommended. So that's it for new vinyl. I've been really trying to... Well, anyway. Here's a couple 7-inches I found for like $1 each. Bongzilla. Mixed bag. On Rhetoric Records out of Madison, Wisconsin from 1996, I think this came out. Stoner doom metal, as you might imagine. Yeah, it's pretty good, but I mean, how can you resist? Well, how can I resist? Bongzilla. And then another Bongzilla split 7-inch with a Japanese band called Hellchild. This is a Japanese 7-inch. I wonder if it ever had an Obi. Who knows? Probably not. So yeah, Hellchild on the A side with Voice from Far Away and Bongzilla. There's a misprint. It says with weed. I guess that makes sense because they were definitely with weed, but it really should be witch weed. Killer. This is killer. Killer little splits 7-inch. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for $1. What the hell? What the hell? All right. Oh, there we go. Okay. I have a new computer, and I moved up to iMovie 11, and yeah, I'm still a little unsure myself here. A little wet feet, or getting my feet wet, and my cold feet. Something about my feet here, people. All right, sorry. Okay, a shout out once again to Anthony Camplone, who he claims that he hates making videos, and I guess he makes him feel uncomfortable, and he doesn't like it, and so he can seem kind of edgy, and I think that once he said that, it's like, oh, okay, it's not like what's with this guy? It's not, he's just visibly doesn't really like making these videos, but But he does it. I'm glad that he does. Hey, Anthony, if you're watching. He showed this record recently, or I think he did. Am I hallucinating this? I think he showed this recently. Le Mystère des Voix Bulgaria. The Mysterious Voices of Bulgaria, I guess is what that is in French. Recorded in Bulgaria by Marcel Cellier. On a None Such Explorer series from 1987. We are well into the CD era here. I remember when this came out. I feel like this around the same time. This was when like that Gregorian chant record was like really big, and maybe it wasn't around the same time, but it seemed like there was a period where like this sort of exotic, like Arvo Part was like kind of big, like pop music kind of big, like sold a lot of records big, you know. Same thing with this, you know, this is Bulgarian folk music sung by this women's choir, mostly a cappella, but sometimes with some percussion and stuff. And it's pretty wild. It's great. It's but it's like, God, you know, I guess 87, you know, the Iron Curtain was starting to fall, and there was this thaw in relations between the East. Now look where we are. But yeah, so there was an appetite for, like, you know, this exotic Eastern European thing, and so this was a thing, you know. And yeah, it's lovely, and for early digital recording, it actually sounds you know, really good. It's like, you know, it's like they knew how to master vinyl in the 80s. You know, they weren't mastering CDs was not something that really got perfected until the 90s, and then they wrecked it in the 2000s with like, well, let's just make it loud. All right, and that's why no one cares about CDs anymore. Cheers, everybody. All right. Here's something I found used, and it had been sitting there for a little while. You know, I joke around. I've been trying to like take it a little easy. There's a record show coming up, and I bought this new computer, and blah blah blah. Anyway, but you know, it was another one of those times where I would have walked out of the store empty-handed had I not picked this up. So I did, and it's The Body, Christ, Redeemers. I'm not sure about that grammatically or what that means exactly, but on Thrill Jockey from, no, I'm not sure when this is from, 2000, mid-2000s maybe, I'm not sure, later than that I think. Anyway, The Body, yes, American metal, yeah, they get filed in the metal section, but you know, they're on Thrill Jockey, so there's a lot more going on here than just metal. There's like oboe and strings and lots of guest musicians, and you know, yeah, there's like thrash beats and screaming and distorted guitar, but that's only a kind of a small part of what's happening musically on this record. There's lots of really evocative atmospheres and some lovely, clean female singing, and it really, like, as a whole, in this double album, felt like quite a quite, I don't know, majestic. It was quite, you know, like big, and yeah, this is really quite good. And I'm going to look into more of their stuff. I think they're still around, still making like sort of avant-garde metal records, and yeah, great. Here's another thing I found used. Apparently someone couldn't handle this because it is mint, like unplayed. It's on some Italian label, CCC Planum. Anyway, Cornelius Cardew's treatise, well, 4 pages of treatise, performed by Oren Mbarchi on guitar and Keith Rowe on tabletop guitar. Now, Cornelius Cardew, of course, was a founding member of AMM along with Keith Rowe, and Oren Mbarchi, of course, is the polymath who's like everywhere, you know, the ubiquitous, you know, there's interesting music going on, he's involved somewhere, anywhere around in the world. So this is recorded live at the Bimhuis in Amsterdam, February 8th, 2009. And you can see, so these are actual reproductions of these pages of this score that Cornelius Cardew wrote. So Cornelius Cardew was in AMM briefly, played cello and stuff, but then went on to compose very radical avant-garde pieces like this, and then like became a Maoist and disavowed all that avant-garde stuff and became a polemicist for communism, and kind of sad. And he died young under mysterious circumstances. But so anyway, so this is, you know, it's like a graphic score, you know, and quite open to interpretation. He was trained as a visual artist, designer, and so it's quite sophisticated. You can find a PDF of the score online, and so anyway, yeah, it's four of these pages played by these guys, and it's you know, it's that European free improvisation, free music, you know. It's not jazz, it's something else, and it's excellent. I mean, you know, Keith Rowe, what a hero, you know, and he knew Cardew. So anyway, that was a nice find, good stuff. You know, I'm not gonna play it every day. It's not like, hey, let's dance around the room to Cornelius Cardew's treatise. But you could probably put some beats to it and do that. All right, maybe just load it into my sample device on my modular. All right, some more Coltrane records that I found cheap. You know, the jackets are pretty wrecked, but the vinyl actually is really good. So Coltrane Live at Birdland from 1964 on Impulse. This is a 70s era gatefold reissue. What is there to say about Coltrane? I mean, especially this classic era with McCoy Tyner and Elton Jones and Jimmy Garrison. It's just timeless music. And I had this on CD, and the CD's great, and it might even have some bonus tracks, but I don't care. I really like having the vinyl. I like having that orange spine on my shelf. I like being to look over there. They're over here. I like being able to look over and seeing those orange spines all lined up and adding another one of those orange and black spines. It just makes me really happy. Now, this does not have an orange and black spine because it's a posthumous release, but it's one that I was really not that familiar with. Infinity, which is various tracks from, I think, 65, 66, 67, 65, 66, I think mostly, that maybe even 65, that were unreleased, and Alice Coltrane overdubbed string arrangements that she did on them. And they released this in 1972 or something like that, with this trippy kind of kaleidoscopic cover. And this is nice. This is, you know, it's, you know, if you're a purist, you're going to be like, oh, what's with the strings and, you know, oh, the desecration of these holy sacred tapes, you know, and you can get this, just the quartet stuff now on CD or maybe even LP. I don't even know. But as an artifact, I had to have it. All right, we're closing in on it. I'm not gonna make a hugely long video here. Joanne Becker record I didn't have. Mythical Magic. God, what a terrible cover. I just, you know, you look at that, and if it weren't this chick in a turtleneck, you might think it's some sort of Big Spider Becky reissue, like 20s era Dixieland stuff, you know? Like, that's just terrible. Like, it just, you know, it's like some bad lobby card for a, you know, like see some hotel pianist or something. Really awful. All right. This is on PA USA or PASA, from 1979. Solo piano. And God, can she freaking play. Man. You know, I've said it before. She is a force of nature and really, really, really underrated and underrecognized, and, like, you know, this is great. I mean, if you are into piano, you're into modern jazz, it's all originals, no, like, all the things you are. This is like serious serious shit. This is serious shit. This isn't just like some cocktail piano that this makes it look like. That's just, what the hell, you know? What the hell? All right. Now for something completely different. Wild Tchoupitoulas. On Island Antilles from 19... what is this from? 72 or something like that. Anyway. Yeah, so the Wild Tchoupitoulas. These are like actual Mardi Gras Indian dudes. And brought into the studio by Alan Toussaint, and has the Neville brothers brought in on background vocals, and so it's, you know, kind of authentic New Orleans Mardi Gras Indian chants, funk rhythms, you know, that like bayou funk kind of thing, you know, which is, I have a little bit of that. I like the Neville brothers, you know, and their connection to Dead kind of got me into this stuff, and they do Hey Pocky Way on here, and anyway, apparently this is not a terribly common record. I got it from Hound Dog Hoover at his latest tent sale. Like $10 or something, and that was an excellent price because I was looking this up, and it's been added to the Library of Congress, you know, repository of great American recordings and stuff. And it is a really nice record. I just, you know, if you're into that Mardi Gras kind of vibe, this is the real deal. All right, just a couple more. 21 minutes. Okay, this album is okay. It's okay. Azimuth, Cascades, Milestone from 1980 something. 82. We're getting into some dubious production touches here, but by and large, this is really pretty good. You know, it's the Brazilian, you know, rhythm section for Marcos Valle, some of Marcos Valle's records, and then they went on to make their own records. And it, you know, it's not that super funky, you know, psychedelic thing. Their first record, which was reissued recently, it's not that. It's more, you know, funky fusion. But if you like the sound of the Fender Rhodes and string ensembles and, you know, tight rhythm section and those Brazilian rhythms, this is perfectly pleasant and, you know, cheap heat, as Bicho Fio would put it. Cheap heat. Cheap heat, yeah, like $3, something like that. All right, you know, I'm going to save this for another theme video, but I'm going to show one last thing, another library record, Signature Production Music Library. Signature Music Library, Chicago, Illinois, from 1987. This is volume 7. And yeah, I found this cheap, and this is not great. You know, 1987, where, you know, but this one track, Prehistoric Land, and what's interesting about this also is that it's not like 1 minute version, 30-second version, 10-second version, like a lot of these kinds of things. The main themes can be quite long, and this one, Prehistoric Land, the last one on side 1, is 3.5 minutes long. And it's quite spacey and electronic and weird, and it makes this, you know, the $3.50 I paid for it well worth it. So there you go. All right, enough of that. You know, there's some records, you know. There's a record show coming up on Sunday. It's a holiday weekend this weekend, and Sunday I'm going to a record show, so hey, that's pretty good, right? All right. Thanks for hanging out with me, people. Thanks for your comments. Really appreciate it. I'll see you soon.